What's up, fellas? I'm Rodney. You know, if I grew up learning one thing, it was that there's a proper way to do things. There's a proper way to earn a living, to ask a lady out, to brush your teeth. First of all, you want to use a pea-sized amount of paste and use a gentle circular motion. I'm a dentist, if you haven't gathered, youngest in my class to graduate. How do you like them apples? Which you shouldn't eat if you have dentures, by the way. I'm also lucky enough to have an amazing girlfriend that I was planning to marry. But the problem was, her best friend kept getting in the way. Abby contradicted almost everything I said, and I was starting to get the idea that maybe she was trying to turn Salem against me. I first realized there was a problem when we went bowling one night. It was date night, but Abby kind of invited herself along, and she was the noisiest third wheel ever. I was demonstrating the proper way to bowl, but Abby said there's not just one way. It seemed no matter what I said or did, she would say or do the opposite. At one point, I was correcting Salem for her bowling etiquette, noting that she should defer to the bowler to the right for bowling order. Abby rolled her eyes and told Salem she could bowl any way she wanted. Abby was an actress and a self-proclaimed free spirit, and she thought I was micromanaging too much. She made it seem like I was controlling, but I just wanted to follow the rules. What rules? Salem would ask, now starting to sound just like Abby. I tried not to worry about it, and I knew it was healthy for couples to quarrel. See, my relationship plan included a proposal in 1 year, but that would be contingent upon living blissfully for a year together, so I invited her to move in. At first, Salem was thrilled, but after she talked to Abby, she told me that maybe we were moving too fast, and we could wait until her lease was up. Is this you talking or Abby? I asked. The more we argued about it, the more upset we both got. Soon, Salem told me she wasn't going to move out, and that was that. Abby was totally in her head, and I had to find a way to get her out. I was telling this all to my friend, Macklin. Maybe you should get in her head, he told me. I laughed it off at first, but then Macklin told me about this new investment he was getting into. I should probably mention how loaded and well-read Macklin is. He's my old roommate from college, and now he's a venture capitalist. He talked to me about this new company, Unifon Labs, who was in an exciting stage of development in the field of cybernetic neuroscience. This company is showing us the future, he said. He talked about mental enhancements and brain implants. There were already trials underway for a newly discovered neuroability called body possession, which opens the gateway to body swapping. Since he was pretty much funding all their research these days, Macklin gave me a preview tour of the labs. I was so impressed, I decided to invest. I even volunteered for the trial run. It didn't even require surgery. Basically, you place a controller sensor in the back of the head near the brainstem, and a transponder to the head of the person whose mind you want to possess. Then, voila, you can read their minds, control their faculties. You can speak for them, whatever you want. What did I want, you ask? My strategy was to possess Abby just long enough to convince Salem to move in. But of course, I had to find a way to get the transponder close enough to Abby's head that I could find the signal to her brain. I had to be sneaky. The next time Abby wanted to tag along, I got her a pair of earrings, and I hid the transponder on the other side of the jewel. My plan worked perfectly. Abby said she was actually touched, and Salem thought it was a nice gesture. I tapped the sensor onto the back of my head, and suddenly I felt a pulse that went all down my spine into my toes. I can only describe it as visual whiplash. I was literally tapping into Abby's brain, and I could see the mini golf course from her angle. I tried moving her legs. They worked. Then I moved my arm. Holy cow, I couldn't believe this was working. I was remotely controlling her body. I felt like I was in some kind of video game. To test it out, I ran across the course and smacked someone else's ball with my club. "What's going on?" she said out loud. I covered her mouth and twitched back into my body for a moment. I felt dizzy and needed to sit down, so I popped a squat under the shade of a windmill. About then, I twitched back into Abby's body. Salem was asking her what was wrong, and I was able to talk. "Everything's fine. I just got a wild hair. Life's short, right?" It sounded like something Abby would say. I wanted to get Salem alone so I could have Abby tell her that moving in was a great step in our relationship, which it was. The possession would only last a couple of hours, so I needed to act fast. "Hey, can we talk?" "No, not now. Can't you see what's going on?" "I think you'll be fine. Let's talk for a few minutes." "No, I'm not leaving his side." "Okay, fine," I said. "I'll say it here. I think you guys should move in together. It'd be a great step in your relationship." But then I watched my body stand up. "Actually," I heard myself say, "maybe moving in isn't such a good idea." And then she looked at me and said, "Two can play at that game." If I was controlling Abby's body, she was controlling mine. We both played it cool until we got back to the game. When Salem went up to putt, she whispered to me, "What's going on?" It wasn't supposed to be a body swap. It was supposed to fix it. Fix it now. I called Macklin, and he thought I was some crazy lady until I explained that the experiment was an absolute fustercluck. That's when he told me there was an error in the prototype. These were actually beta versions of a body swapping procedure. So instead of merely controlling an extra body, I actually traded with Abby. How do we fix it? You should be able to relinquish control, but the body has to be in a relaxed state. Just relaxed? That should be easy enough. The proper way to relax is after a rocking workout, so I planned to go for a run. But it didn't work. I ran for miles and worked up a killer sweat. I felt wiped out, but not exactly relaxed, and I couldn't relinquish nothing. I called Abby and gave her the address to Unifon Labs. I told her to bring my body and meet me there. Macklin said it might take time. But then he didn't do anything but waste it. He kept staring at me. I mean, the body I was in. Abby's body. And then he turned to my body and told me I was pretty. "What are you doing?" I shouted. "I'm not talking to you, dude." Apparently, he was attracted to the body I was controlling, and he was flirting with me, knowing it was her body. "It's not her body until we swap back," I shouted. Macklin said we needed to loosen up before the switch could take place. "I tried that," I said. "I ran for miles." "You ran? That's not relaxing. Scented candles are relaxing." "Candles give me a headache," I told her. Abby and I were bickering like crazy before Macklin interrupted us with a solution. He said that our bodies are still conditioned to previous habits. So there I was, sitting in Abby's body, in Abby's room, about to light her stupid scented candles, thinking that fire was the worst way to relax, when I was interrupted. Somebody kept calling Abby, and I tried to turn off the phone, but I accidentally answered. The voice on the other end belonged to Abby's landlady, and she wasn't happy. Abby was months behind on rent, and the landlady said she couldn't verify her appointment, so Abby had 30 days to move out. This meant Salem was going to need a place to stay. I was feeling better already, so I sparked some of those candles and did some breathing exercises like Abby told me to. There, with my eyes closed, inhaling the scent of sandalwood, I couldn't relax. Something was bugging me. See, I realized that even though it was good for me, I couldn't help thinking about Abby. What would she do? Where would she go? Thinking about Abby's problems must have made me forget about mine, and I sort of let my guard down. I kind of appreciated her unique style, and the sandalwood was growing on me. But then Abby's body twitched, and the image of a jogging trail popped into my mind. I was sweating and out of breath. I glitched back to my own body. I was thrilled, but I couldn't help but worry about Abby. I went by the apartment to see that she was okay. While I was there, I got to see Salem. I was going to spill the beans about Abby getting kicked out. But then I started to wonder if she really wanted to move in at all, or get married for that matter. What if she didn't like my plan? Before I could ask, Abby interrupted us. She got an email from the landlady too, and she was telling Salem they were getting kicked out. Salem was furious. And that's when Abby said she had a secret. She lost her restaurant jobs, and the actor gigs weren't paying the bills. She was sorry, and Salem was freaking out and angry all at the same time. Boy, if this happened a week ago, I would have rubbed it in Abby's face. But now I felt bad for her. "Don't worry," I told them both. I reminded Salem that we all need help from time to time. I told Salem and Abby that they were both welcome to move in, and they were both relieved. See, for a long time, I thought there was only one way to live. And if you weren't doing life that way, you were doing something wrong. But now I've learned that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And when you let others show you how they do things, you can learn something about yourself. like sandalwood. It's truly a magical smell. I told Salem I had big plans for us, but the plans were just a rough draft. I said I can learn to go with the flow and break a few rules along the way. Is your life planned out, or do you go with the flow? Tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.